first time, so right.
Hello.
Hi.
God. We may have just witnessed the most evil episode of Game of Thrones in 5.5 years.
Yeah.
It was the. Honestly, I don't know what to say. Okay, so we thank you guys for watching the first video from last week. We've heard the feedback. The 4 of you that watched it were like, it was really great, but it needs to be a little bit shorter. Gonna try.
It's gonna be a whole 2 minutes shorter. In
fairness, I mean, every video review you're gonna find online is going to be kind of long. So, unless you watch that Emergency Awesome guy, which is pretty cool. But still. So we'll try to keep this around 25 minutes or less, but we'll see. So
because of that, this episode we will not be teaching you how to make the perfect lobster bisque.
Unfortunately, you miss out on that.
You got what you wanted.
Okay, so to dive into it, in full spoilers. Spoilers for all the books. Spoilers for every episode of the TV show, including tonight's.
So full spoilers?
Full spoilers.
Not half spoilers.
Not half spoilers.
Full spoilers?
Nope. Full speculation about where the books are going, where the show's going. Full
disclosure, the books are going nowhere because George is never going to finish the 6th book.
He's going to die. Okay. I'm spoiler alert, he's going to die before he finishes those books.
Just announced that man was going to die. But
I mean, we just got to be realistic. Winter is coming. The winds of winter are coming.
I wish winter would come back. It's hot as hell outside.
That line where they gave us, where they said the winds of winter were coming, that's the only winds of winter we're going to get. But,
see what you did there.
So to dive into it, again, spoilers. Exit the premises if you don't want spoilers.
Full.
This is not safe at all. Okay.
Much like Brandon Hodor and Mir.
I'm not even
You're not Catholic.
Okay, so the episode began at the wall, like most of them have done, but it wasn't about Jon, it was about Sansa. Sansa gets the little letter from Littlefinger, and she's like, OMG, where's Molestown? We know Molestown because the Wildlings raided it in Season 4.
That really mean lady that was rude to Gilly died, and I wasn't sad.
Me either. So, basically, Littlefinger's there. He's like, oh my god, are you okay?
I'm so sorry.
Girl,
I didn't know what happened.
Didn't know.
I don't think he was that effeminate, but yes.
I think he genuinely didn't know. I think he made a mistake. I think it was the first time...
He made a really costly mistake.
I think it's the first time we've ever seen Littlefinger really screw up.
It was a bigger mistake than the mistake he made in Season 2 when he was like, it's as if fate afforded us this chance to be together, cat.
Yeah, that was just a complete breakdown in all sense of... Yeah. Essentially, so Sansa's like, yeah, I was in for a bit of a rape.
Wee bit.
It was...
There were a lot of beatings, but he didn't. He didn't hit the face. He needed the face.
I thought that was a great kind of way to bookend what happened with Sansa and Littlefinger last season. And essentially she goes, look, I don't want to see you anymore. Be gone. But he does give her some useful party information. And of course, the Lords of the Vale, they'll be waiting in the wings. They'll be back around. Littlefinger might do what he does.
See what you did there, because their symbol is a falcon. Good job.
Yeah. They'll be around. I think maybe you might not see Littlefinger for a couple of episodes, but he'll pop back up. But basically, he's like, well, your uncle, the Blackfish, has regathered the remnants of his army. They've retaken River Run.
Would have liked to have seen that.
It would have been pretty ballin'. But I'm glad it happened. I thought they were all going to get excised from the show after we didn't see them the last 2 years. So, that was cool. So, moving along, So Arya had this great week where she gets to go look at one of the people she's supposed to kill for the many-faced god, and it's an actress in a play that is reenacting the events of King Robert's death and the ascension to the throne of Joffrey and the subsequent beheading of Ned Stark. But of course, it was done
So
with
you know all the highlights of season 1.
It was done with some, like, state-sponsored or visionist history.
It was disrespectful. Like, it started out funny. I was like, ha ha ha. Because Robert was fat and he probably farted a lot and he smacked Cersei around. And he was always like, more wine. And then it got a little disrespectful when it got to Ned, like, oh, Robert's dead. I'm going to take the throne for my own. That's not what happened. It's not what happened at all.
Yeah.
And they made Joffrey look like a nice guy, and I was like, no.
Tyrion being like, oh, I'm going to marry Sansa. That's not what happened. Let's go practice for our wedding night. Forget your grief. Like, that's
disrespectful.
It was all disrespectful.
It was more disrespectful than the midget reenactment of the War of the Five Kings in season 4.
Which was disrespectful. But one thing that struck me about it is, again, as goofy and as inaccurate as it was, and as hard as it was for Arya to watch her father being made fun of like that, the funny thing about it was, again, it's yet another version of Ned Stark. We've now seen 3 Ned Starks. We've seen little boy Ned Stark, we've seen this character playing Ned Stark, and we've seen Neil Patrick Harris, young Ned Stark, in the Tower of Joy sequence from 2 weeks ago. And, I mean that man looked just like Neil Patrick Harris.
Like Neil.
And so they're really doing everything they can to kind of remind people of the centrality of Ned Stark to the story. It's the story of Ned Stark's children.
And his nephew.
Yeah, and his bastard son, Jon Snow. But, so I just thought that was interesting. Ultimately, Arya's story, I'm still not really sure where to go. And there was a lot of talk from the Waif tonight about maybe Arya's not really gonna ever be a faceless man. I think Arya's probably destined to end up back in Westeros either way, because I don't really see that story just chilling there for very much longer.
Yeah, no. She's gonna learn some nifty assassins.
They've really just put the pedal to the metal on all the stories this year, so I don't think Arya is gonna be lingering. It would feel out of place. The King's Moot. We got the King's Moot.
King's Moot.
There were things I liked about what the show's doing. It's simplified it a little bit. Victarion Greyjoy is not in the show. I guess we can finally put that to rest.
I mean, it's probably for the best. He was kind of boring.
Well, yeah, and
I enjoyed him.
And Yara kind of serves that function anyway. It was kind of too many cooks, as they say in the books. Too many cooks. It takes a lot to make a stew. Anyways, so, see, that's the kind of thing that makes these videos like 4 hours long.
I think that adds character to the videos. It sets us apart from, like, that one angry lady who's just like, oh, we got another extemporaneous speech from the High Sparrow. I hate her.
You guys. Okay, so the founders of Westeros.org, Elio Garcia and Linda Antonsen, who helped George Martin write this epic tome and are also consultants for the show. They are super fans who know everything about the world of Ice and Fire. They wrote this book. Okay, these are people that if Logan and I are Jorah and Dario of like Game of Thrones lore trivia, these people would be like Sir Arthur Dayne and Barristan Selmy. Like they're the...
Which means we could beat them, but we'd have to stab them in the back.
Right.
Because that's what I learned from Game of Thrones. Great warriors get stabbed in the back.
But Linda Antonsen does
Rest
weekly...
in peace, Barristan the Bold /Old.
I'm also
You're
still
not Catholic.
Linda Antonsen does these video reviews for Westeros.org. And each week she gets like saltier and saltier because
before the end of it, she'll be eligible for the Salt
she'll
Throne.
be the queen of the Salt Throne before it's over because she gets so mad at every tiny deviation from what she considers to be the characterizations of each person and place and event in the books.
You'd kind of think that she's the one that created this world herself.
Yeah, she really kind of feels like she's the. It's really strange. Like I've almost stopped watching her videos because she sort of feels like she's the author and she's not. So it's really weird. But
talks a lot of crap for about a show that she gets paid to do the closed captionings on. Also,
yeah, she gets paid to consult for the show. She kind of bites the hands that feeds her there. It's weird. But
she craps where she eats.
So, and yes, even though I know that she would destroy us, I would accept her challenge for a trivia.
She don't want it.
Competition.
She too old to ride the trivia train. 20 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
When this book series started.
Right. So, but I think that the most interesting thing that happened, Theon definitely getting some agency, right? He stood up for his sister.
I mean, he got a haircut. It looked like he ate a cheeseburger.
He stood up for his sister, so good on him. Yara made some good points. Theon made some good points. But the Crow's Eye is kind of a really badass character.
Yeah, I can't even dislike him.
He's cool.
Because he made some really good points.
And
he was like, nobody liked my brother. I should have killed him years ago.
I apologize for not killing him sooner. I threw him off a bridge just in the nick of time. I am the storm. I really like.
Not gonna lie, I thought the Drown God was gonna drown this episode.
Oh yeah, I
would have laughed.
I was sort of thinking maybe he was going to be dead, and that was going to be hilarious. But I also thought it was kind of funny that while he was getting drowned, the rest of Yara and Theon's loyalists kind of they all got in ships and fled. That was pretty great because they knew, let's go murder them.
Where do you think they're going?
That's a good question, and I honestly don't know where they're going. Where do you think they might go?
Part of me wants to just be like, they're going to go team up with Jon because, Theon probably, still cares about Sansa. He knows they're going to need all the help they can get. Although a part of me, since, they're the religion of the Drowned God, and the part of, water is rain, I hope they sail and they bring the rains down in Africa.
I mean, that's as good a guess as anything I've heard. But, so, I don't know about that, but I love the fact that they are keeping Euron's story from the books, where his plan is to basically, he's traveled the world, he's heard stories of Daenerys Targaryen and her dragons. He has ships.
It would make Dorne slightly more interesting.
It would make Dorne slightly more interesting if they went to Dorne, and then you got the tension between half of the Ironborn and the Dornish versus the Targaryens and the other half of the Ironborn. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Because Euron's plan is to marry Daenerys Targaryen, and that was kind of really cool. I thought
I admire his ambition.
I thought, yeah, it was kind of ballsy. I thought they were going to cut that out of the show. I really didn't think that was going to happen. But good on them. It seems like they're going to go for that.
I guess they were like, we're either going to have Euron try to marry her, or the one Martell son whose name is not really important that I can't really remember because he got burnt to a crisp.
Oh yeah,
KFC.
Quentin, I must be a hero, Martell.
I have the blood of the dragon.
He didn't. He did get some blood, probably all over some dragons.
Probably not, but probably his blood got boiled to the surface and. Spoilers.
So speaking of Daenerys, there were some other things that happened that involved her. So after her big week last week, where she went all Carrie and destroyed the Great Temple at Vias Dothrak, and now she has the Dothraki ostensibly with her on her side.
Killed a lot of calls.
She did kill a lot of calls, and it was her call of duty to make my bad pun for the week. Anyways, so I've got to do at least one. I've got to do one a week.
You don't.
Last week was she ushered in their doom, and this week it was her call of duty. So Oh my gosh, there's this epic moment. So it's the first time that...
I really thought you were about to go with it.
It's the first... No. It's the first time that Jorah and Daenerys have had a moment to actually talk to one another, like, and catch a breath since she banished him in Season 4. And I really, really dug that because he was ready to accept that it was time for him to go away again now that he had saved her life. I love that he was like, I love you. I'm always going to love you. Let's just dispense with all of this. I should have said this many seasons ago and just confessed my crimes.
It's very true. It's very true.
But I love how touched that she was by that and how when she saw the grayscale, she was like, I command you to go find a cure. And it was a sweet moment. He's definitely going to die.
Oh, yeah, he gonna die.
But it was a very sweet moment.
He's not coming back.
I really dug that.
Unlike Jon Snow.
That might have been my favorite moment of the episode, because I'm not sure you could call the crazy stuff that happens good or exciting moments. But I think as a character moment, that was great, because I've always loved Jorah. I like him in the books, but he's a little bit... He's not quite the same character. In the books, he's kind of a jerk.
He's even angstier in the book.
Yeah, in the books, he's kind of a jerk about everything. In the show, they've always played him more sympathetic, and I really love the actor, and so that was a very nice moment for that character.
I mean, I never trusted him because I saw
he's got some redemption. In Marine, okay, so Varys and Tyrion, they're talking politics and explaining how, okay, people need to know that it's Daenerys who's bringing this peace. I agree with that. I think that, like, while Tyrion is walking sort of a tightrope, this is what Tyrion is really good at doing. And he is out of his depth. So, like, the things that, like, Grey Worm and Missandei were saying last week are true. Like, he's never dealt with these types of people. But they've also never seen anyone like Tyrion, who plays the Game of Thrones as well. And the Masters have never dealt with anyone who's like Tyrion, who is way smarter than they are.
I still think it's going to blow up in his face, though.
I think it's going to blow up, but I think it was going to blow up anyway. So I think that, like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. But I think that Tyrion is doing the right thing in the situation.
He's doing the best he can
for
somebody that can't control dragons and then just tell them to go kill everybody.
He literally was dropped into the middle of that situation. And then she flew off on a dragon. So I think he's doing the best he can.
What a badass she was when she did that, though.
It was pretty awesome. But I think the crazy thing about this whole scene with Marine was when this Red Priestess, is her name Kinvara? Kinvara.
Yeah, she's like a Mortal Kombat character.
Now, did they say she was like...
She is the highest of high priestesses.
She's
in charge.
She's the High Sparrow of R'hllor. Like, she's the high... she's the Great Septon. Right? She's the Pope of, like, R'hllor's religion. That's really kind of crazy. So she is...
she's way more useful.
She's the most powerful, probably, Red Priestess. She knew all about Varys' past. It was really creepy.
Right!
I do wonder if she's also old. I don't know.
I hope we never find out.
Oh, yeah, I hope we never find out.
Because once a series is good enough for me.
Yeah, like...
I like the fact that she was, when... Because Varys was not having any of her garbage. He was like, that's the great thing about being a fanatic. You're always right. It's always the Lord's will. And she was like, everything is the Lord's will. And, we do the best we can, but people are flawed and they get the interpretation wrong sometimes. But, everything I'm saying is true. Do I need to tell you about, when you were a child and you got mutilated? When the man cut you up and then threw it into the flames?
I think... The most interesting thing she said, though, was that she believes that Daenerys is like the princess that was promised. So she believes that Daenerys is what Melisandre now thinks that Jon is. So,
well, as she said, people get things wrong, and it's unfortunate that she got this wrong.
Essentially, the religion of R'hllor is expecting a messianic figure to save them from the ice apocalypse that's coming with the White Walkers. And boy, is it coming. Coldemort is on his way. Excuse me, Coldemort. And there's your reference for the day, kids.
It's so frightening that the Night's King is the guy that killed Batman's parents.
Right. So is John, the Messiah? Is Danny the Messiah? Are the three heads of the dragon sort of co-messiahs? I think that that's something we'll find out later on. But it's going to be interesting to see different factions think different people are the Messiah. And I think that Daenerys and Jon both have a much better claim than Stannis ever had to being the Messiah of this story.
It's true.
So, but all of that was really interesting, and
I miss him so much.
Kinvara was really, really hot. So there was that.
Was that another pun because she's a red
Oh
priestess?
God, like she is both. So she was really hot, and she's also beautiful.
You see what I did with?
So I like it. Sort of went back at the wall, and you saw like the sort of war council meeting, and like, hey guys, where can we get some people? And there was the talk of the Karstarks and Manderleys, Umbers. They're not this. There's some shade, and we're not sure if we can trust them. But there are other houses, Mormonts and the Kerwins, and
we've got Manderleys, Mormonts, Kerwins, Reeds.
The Reeds. They didn't mention the Reeds, but we have the Reeds,
and we know why they didn't mention the Reeds, because the head of House Reed is in King's Landing, getting ready to do some crazy stuff.
Potential spoiler alert. I think that basically the plan where Sansa, not Catelyn, Sansa.
I was about to say, yeah, Catelyn.
Sansa and Jon are going off to try to like rally the North, and I love Sansa's plan to send Brienne to talk to the Blackfish and get the support of the Tullys. That was a smart plan. I think it will work well. I think there might be complications because I kind of think you might. I think there's going to be some wrinkles to that we're not anticipating. I think we're going to end up seeing the Freys again very soon. Lord Walder Frey. We might get
once more into the fray we go.
Now, unlike when she killed Stannis, which was just silly, I think it might be really entertaining if Brienne killed Walder Frey. But I'm still thinking it's going to be Sansa.
Of all the people that I would want to kill Walder Frey, Brienne's kind of at the bottom of the list.
She's not at the bottom of my list, but I would rather it be Sansa.
I would rather it be Sansa.
Because
I
think Jon is going to be the one that kills Ramsay. So I don't think Jon's going to kill both of them. And
I'd honestly be confused if Jon showed up in the Riverlands at all. Like,
yeah,
he got more important things to play.
And that's not really Jon's family. That was Catelyn's. Family.
I mean, unless he was just doing it like, I'm gonna kill you because you killed Robb. But that was more Roose Bolton anyway.
So yeah, there was that, and I mean, it was sort of the first time that the episode was not Jon centric this season, and it was fine because it was Bran centric. Okay, so before we talk about what happened at the ending, towards the beginning of the episode, we had a vision with Bran where Bran sees something that is a big reveal for book readers, because the books do not say this. And I don't know if this is something that George Martin told the producers, and so this is a book spoiler, or if this is just for the show. But apparently, the Children of the Forest created the White Walkers to help fight the humans when the first men showed up.
Let's just pause for a minute, okay? Like, one, they showed how it was made. Like, I'm pretty sure it was Leaf. She stuck a dragon glass dagger dead into a man's chest which then caused his eyes to turn that frightening crystal-like blue that we've gotten used to over the last 6 years. And when Bran asked why, her excuse was, we were at war. We needed protection. Protection from what? From you. That was the greatest aha moment at the end of the episode when all that came back to bite him in the ass. It was like, you...
Yeah, it was a...
You...
There was kind of a mini... I don't use this word in the sense that I really felt bad about it, but it was sort of a mini tragedy for the Children of the Forest in this episode, like self-contained, like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. They were trying to fend off destruction, and they created destruction, which so often happens in these stories.
And also, if you're going to use magics to create an army, make sure that your, like, snowman army can't bring other dead people back to life.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be one of those things where they never do explain this stuff. I mean, they just chalk it up to...
How can they explain it? Max von Sydow is dead.
Well, okay, well, let's talk about that, because Bran, 2 episodes ago, he's like, well, you have to learn everything. And then in this episode, he's like, okay, well, you screwed everything up, so now you have to be me. And Bran's like, I'm not ready. And he's like,
I know.
No, not at all.
You're not.
Now, okay, so... The way this works is Bran can... The weirwood trees, you could link in with any weirwood tree and see any other weirwood tree. Bran's still going to be able to have visions.
Or in some places, things where there are
no weirwood
trees.
Bran's still going to be able to have visions. That's not really a problem. But I think that this is going to become much more dangerous, because what we were hinted at the Tower of Joy, where it seemed like Ned could hear Bran... This is all, like, sort of confirmed now, because the Night's King saw and touched Bran. That was how he found out where Bran was at. Now, of course, he's a magical being, or has mystical mumbo-jumbo about him. So, but still, he saw and touched Bran. That there was, and then what happens at the end with Hodor? I mean, this is...
I think we should call him Willis.
Bran has affected... the past, and screwed up the present at this point,
and quite possibly destroying the future. Way to go, Bran. Way to go.
It was not Bran's day at all. I mean,
it was not on point, as the kids say.
It wasn't. It was not lit. Although some of those White Walkers did get lit.
No, some of them got lit on fire.
The Children of the Forest were kind of cool, though, when they had, like, little, like grenade
their
thingies.
magical, like, napalm.
Yeah.
That destroyed Jojen Reed last season.
That was really disrespectful. Okay, so it was the second biggest White Walker episode, arguably.
Yeah.
It was... Bran actually called him the Night King.
He did. And
I'm assuming he just learned that from...
That was some of that off-screen in between, like,
exposition,
season 4 and 6.
Well, just like how there was no conversation between Jon and Sansa that we saw on screen saying, hey, I got killed and came back. You just... Like, they even reference it at night. Brienne says, like, yeah, he's kind of brooding, but, I mean, it makes sense considering. You could assume off-screen that Bran has learned about the White Walkers because he recognized who it was he was seeing. And it's interesting that I think that is the first time he's been called the Night King on the show.
He has.
HBO executives have called him the Night King. They called him that back in season 4, the first time you saw him, when he turns the Craster's baby.
The executives have called him the Night King. In all of the promos and synopses. But this is the first time anybody on screen has actually referred to him as the Night King.
Yeah, and Night's King is it is a character in the books, although George Martin has explained that it's more also of a title, so it's not necessarily any one person. So
you can read all about it in The World of Ice and Fire. Chapter, The Long Night.
It's a good one.
It is.
So,
Take about 20 years to read it, but
yes, emotionally, Summer.
Can we skip over that?
Summer was
so.
And wasn't it kind of metaphoric that summer was taken out by the winter? I'm not even being funny.
Summer
when
didn't
he
even
died,
stand
I was
a
like,
chance, dude. Like Summer was like, "Run, I'll hold them off," and then it jumped into the fray and immediately died. Like he immediately got mowed down.
He died a brave, noble warrior's death.
I swear, if the next time we see the Night King and his army of whites, there is a zombified Summer and, if you've gotten this far, you've seen the episode, Hodor, I'm not going to be able to handle that.
Speaking of Hodor, let's talk about Hodor. Because we got the big reveal about how Hodor became a simpleton who only says Hodor. Logan, you explain this, because if I start I get what happened, but if I start trying to articulate it, I'm just going to mess it up. So you explain what happened.
This is what I do. I handle all the mystical mumbo-jumbo stuff. Alright, basically, so Bran, when the Three-Eyed Raven was like, "You're going to have to become me," for some reason they went back to that scene at Winterfell where Ned was leaving to go to the Eyrie. And then, that's when all the White Walkers and whatever showed up, and Mira was like, "Bran, we need your help. They're coming to kill you. We need Hodor." And Three-Eyed Raven was like, "Listen to your friend." And Bran was like, "Okay." So Bran, while in the past, wargs into present-day Hodor. Now, what I'm assuming happened is that created some type of, weird mystical portal where, energies were traveling back and forth at the same time. A door, if you will. And so, while all of that commotion was going on, because at this time the Three-Eyed Raven had already been killed by the Night's King. Rude.
Disrespectful.
It was as disrespectful as Max von Sydow getting killed by Kylo Ben. I'm sorry, Ren. Spoilers.
Max von Sydow just is not long.
He can't, he's not. Still don't know who he is in The Force Awakens. So I'm assuming Three-Eyed Raven's job is to make sure that all the magical energies stay intact. But anyway, so Mira's like, "We need Hodor." And so Mira and Hodor, because Bran inside of Hodor, they're going through the cave, which literally had a back door. Go figure. That was
it was a literal back door.
That was, who puts a door in a cave that's underneath a tree?
Well, the funny thing is, from a writing standpoint, it was kind of, writers call it giving yourself a back door to get out of situations where you've written yourself into a corner.
They literally gave
themselves a back door out of that tree.
Guarantee you, if you had asked them in season 4, "Hey, is there any other way out of this cave?" they'd have been like, "No." But anyway, so Mira,
George Martin was probably like, "There is no back door in that." Okay.
Well, George Martin is like, "It's a cave. There are no doors in caves." Whatever.
We don't hurt little girls indoors.
But they did.
Technically, they didn't.
Well, technically, Marcel. They gave the shot, but the pain and the hurting didn't occur till they were in international waters.
Like Mars.
He was a space pirate.
Space
pirate.
The Martian.
Good movie, greatest comedy of a generation. But so Mira, they get to the back door. Hodor's like, "Hurrah!" And so he opens it. Mira gets through. She's dragging Bran. Hodor shuts it. Mira's like, "Hold the door." And she keeps yelling it. And so I'm assuming that somehow her voice traveled all the way back into the past. And Willis heard it, because you see Willis's eyes go as if he had just been warged into, much like the other Hodor. And you just hear him repeat, "Hold the door." And then he starts shaking, and honestly, that was a little uncomfortable to watch.
He had
He had
a massive time displacement seizure.
Yeah. And
it fried
no bueno. No.
It scrambled his eggs.
But he But so he's on the ground, convulsing. At one point, I thought he was going to start frothing at the mouth and his tongue was going to go all lopsided. Fortunately, that didn't happen. And he just keeps repeating, hold the door, till it gets to like, hold door, and then by the end of it, he's just like, Hodor. Then he calms down, and Bran, the entire time, is watching this happen, and I believe Bran realizes, oh my god, I'm responsible for the fact that Hodor is a simpleton.
And and then we lose Hodor, and it's very sad. Now, okay, so we now have...
Honestly?
Bran can affect the past.
Which makes these theories that he's the voices that the Mad King heard even maybe.
I mean, Bran...
Because, I mean, we already knew from the books that he could affect the present, because in the Theon Greyjoy chapter when he's at Winterfell and he's in the Godswood, he hears voices whispering to him, and we know for a fact that it was Bran. But... I guess we can go out on a limb and go ahead and say that, yeah, Ned Stark did hear Bran at the Tower of Joy.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I do hope we get more, I wouldn't even call them flashbacks, I would just call them, like, visions of the past. And I hope we see him kind of interacting with the past a little bit more.
Yeah, because they're not flashbacks, his consciousness is going back in time. So, yeah, like, that's... I think,
although if I was Bran, I'd be a little nervous to like do that anymore because I'd be like, I don't want to like cause anybody else.
Well, it's like how when Harry, it'll be interesting. Well, Bran kind of after he had his initial vision, it seemed like Bran and the Three-Eyed Raven kind of lost control there when they went back into that vision.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe will Bran have trouble controlling it now, which will then cause problems? Because it's kind of like with Harry Potter and Voldemort, where he has, like, those moments where he kind of, like, has the connection with Voldemort, but he can't really control that.
Yeah.
And then once he's done that, Voldemort knows what he's thinking or feeling.
What if the Three-Eyed Raven knew that it was Bran that caused that what happened to Hodor to happen, and something similar happened in his past, so when he's like, it's time for you to become me, and Bran is like, am I ready? And he's like, no, there's like a deeper meaning to that, and like, no, you're not ready because you're going to be carrying around this like guilt for what you're responsible for a long time. Because, I
definitely think there was subtext to it.
Otherwise, like, when he's like, it's time for you to become me, like, then why are you just... And, like, there's no deeper meaning. Why are you just taking him to, like, when you see his dad, like, leaving and Hodor, for lack of a better term, magical stroke out?
And, well, I think that also them going back to... Or maybe maybe I was wrong there. Maybe the Three-Eyed Raven did take him back to that, and it was the Three-Eyed Raven that took him back there. And maybe he was trying to get him, maybe getting him ready, Obviously, the Hodor thing was kind of essential to it, but again, that's the scene where we saw Rickard Stark for the first time.
Look just like Sean Bean.
Yeah, that was really cool. And then, but again, that was the scene where Lyanna was there, and again, emphasizing Lyanna. So there's a lot to be learned still about Lyanna, the Tower of Joy, Ned Stark. We were really getting all of that. Again, it was another great episode. All 5 episodes. We're halfway through the season, guys. All 5 episodes have been really good this year. They promised that at the beginning. They said that this was not a season that would have slow episodes. They said it was going to be fast-paced. We're like 2 or 3 episodes away from like the huge battle for the North.
Yep.
We're gonna have people coming back. We're gonna see Walder Frey again. It's gonna get really exciting. So, what'd you guys think of the episode? Please.
No King's Landing this episode.
We didn't, but we're gonna get that conflict next week.
Yes. My boy Jaime's gonna show up to the Great Sept of Baelor with an army at his back. Can't wait to see what happens. Because it looks like Marjorie's about to make her walk of atonement.
Yeah. So this video is like 7 minutes shorter than the other one, so we kind of...
So what you're saying is progress was made.
Progress was
5.
made.
Boom.
So let us know what you thought of the episode, please.
Oh, and leave questions in the comment section giving suggestions on what else you'd like to hear us talk about as far as Game of Thrones is related. Because, maybe like sometime during the week or a day before or after,
questions, comments, concerns.
No, don't send us concerns. I don't write them. We don't write the show.
I didn't promise we would answer them, but
fair enough.
anything you'd like to know about the show or the mythology speculation, if you would like us to explain Robert's Rebellion, or you'd like us to explain
we can do that.
The theories.
And a large part of our knowledge comes from the World of Ice and Fire. Available at all stores and Amazon and whatnot. I'm trying to pimp this book out enough to where if anybody official sees it, they'll be like, hey, we'll sponsor these guys and maybe they'll help produce this.
Spoiler alert, this book is like $30 cheaper on Amazon. I know because I just bought it.
It's true.
So that is all. So Valar Morghulis and
all men must bake in the sun. But yeah, Brent, Hodor died super hard, dude.
It was disrespectful.
I haven't been that upset to death since Jack's death on Lost.
Spoiler.